Jocelyn Larson hadn't seen the River House in over a decade. The exterior paint, once a cool slate blue, was now sun-bleached and covered in mildew. The trim, front deck, and stairs leading up to the house were no longer crisp white, but a shabby ivory. Crabgrass and dandelions grew unapologetically in the long, winding gravel driveway where 2 rental cars were parked. The gardens that flanked the house, or rather, where Jocelyn remembered them to be, were overgrown and lost among the weeds. She could just make out what remained of the pickleweed she and her grandmother had planted what felt like a lifetime ago. Closing her eyes, she took a deep breath, inhaling the familiar scent of a faded childhood. She could hear the gentle lapping of the Rappahannock River on the beach at the edge of the property, and it delivered more peace than she had anticipated. In the last 14 years, plenty had changed about Jocelyn as well, though the years had been much kinder, generous even. Her golden hair cascaded in loose waves down her back, reaching the top of her jeans. Her once girlish face was hardened with feminine maturity. Her prominent cheekbones were softened by a supple complexion. Her lips were full, and her steel gray eyes reflected a hint of green, borrowing the hues of her pale green tank top. She was a far cry from the little girl who had once retreated to her grandparents' bungalow every summer, and the home was just as unrecognizable. This house, she thought somberly, hadn't been loved like it should have. She was ashamed to admit that it had been years since she'd really even thought about the place for longer than a moment. Life had picked her up and carried her away. She had lost herself so easily in far more complicated distractions: budding career goals, the demands of a fast-paced life in Austin, and trying to force relationships to work that should never have started in the first place. On the outside, Jocelyn could pass for a woman who had figured it all out. A natural beauty, a graduate of the University of Houston with an MBA, a homeowner at 34, and up for promotion at the recruiting firm Bradford and Bend. But on the inside, she felt more lost than even the old River House appeared. The last time Jocelyn had stepped foot on the property, she had freshly turned 20, her head full of plans, her focus on grander things. Her family had only visited the house in Farnham a handful of times since their move to Texas 14 years earlier, and those years had been very different from her childhood. She had been teetering somewhere between a girl and a woman. Growing up, she considered, more quickly than she should have. She had spent more time on her phone, wishing she were back in Texas with her friends, than she did enjoying a tranquility that had once cradled her heart and mind so effortlessly. Without realizing what she had done, Jocelyn had managed to misplace her affection for the house entirely, and she now felt the reality of her betrayal crushing in around her. How had life taken such a turn, she wondered as she watched her parents ascend the steps leading up to the house. Grace, Jocelyn's mother, was strong and athletic in build. It was a sobering sight to see a woman she had always considered to be a pillar of strength in her life appear so delicate, clinging to her husband Calvin's hand as he led her up the steps. Her hair, a natural mix of gold and silver, fell loose just past her shoulders. She was exquisite, even at the age of 64, embracing her gray hair, her fresh face masked in grief. Her beauty was timeless and natural, not fighting the hands of time, rather owning them. Calvin, only a few years older than his bride, was handsome and distinguished with a medium beard and a faded military haircut that was nearly all gray now. He carried himself as a soldier would, though he had only served a few years active duty before working as a civilian contractor. He was steady, though Jocelyn knew him to have a tender side, especially when it came to her mother. As her parents entered the house, Jocelyn let her thoughts wander for a while longer outside, not quite ready to be flooded with the memories that undoubtedly awaited her inside. When her grandfather had died and her grandmother was moved into an independent living facility in Texas, nothing remained to draw her thoughts back to Virginia. With the loss of affection and magnetism to the place that had once been a symbol of peace and clarity in her life, she realized she had lost so much more as a result.
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.